Well, they're ready inside here. It is loud. And it's usually a little different when the Redskins come to town, as it is for Washington at home when the Cowboys come to play in their stadium. And we get ready for football. 3-6 against 6-3. Sweezum will kick it away. Cowboys will start with it on offense, and Felix Jones is back to receive the opening kickoff, and we are glad you are with us. From the 3, Felix Jones sidesteps a couple. Good start out to the 35. 32-yard return for Felix Jones.
Well, the Dallas coaches talked about wanting to see what Felix Jones would do with the opening kickoff, and depending on how well he did would determine whether or not he got a second opportunity in this game. A good run. His hesitancy has been well documented here over recent weeks since coming back from his injury, and he just has not hit the hole like they want him to on these returns, but he did a good job on that last one.
Sweezum, the kicker, made the stop, and so Dallas starts at their own 35. Coming off a disturbing loss for the Cowboys with the way they had been playing at Green Bay, as Marion Barber carries it over the left side for 5. London Fletcher, who was Pam's pregame guest down on the field, made the stop. And here's a look at the offense, and we'll talk about Doug Free, a third-year player, former 4th-round draft pick out of Northern Illinois, who makes his first start at right tackle.
Yeah, and we saw play 1. They run the ball to the left side, and my guess is because of Doug Free making his first start on that right side, that when they do run the ball, it'll be heavy to their left.
Play action from Romo, and this one is for Witten, and what a good play made by H.B. Blades. No gain. Blades was right on his back. Witten made the catch. And here's a look at the defense, and the big hole up front is the loss of Albert Haynesworth. $41 million guaranteed to bring him to Washington, out with a sprained left ankle.
Yeah, and this was the type of game that they brought Albert Haynesworth into play. I mean, against the Dallas Cowboys, an NFC East opponent. And it's a big loss not having him. Of course, the outside rushers that they've got with Andre Carter and then Brian Arakpo, the rookie, they've been outstanding.
3rd down and 5. Blitz coming. Dallas picks it up, and this one is tipped and nearly picked by London Fletcher. Off the hand of Jason Witten. And London Fletcher was staring at his first interception of the season.
Well, they do a good job of picking up the blitz, and then a ball that just got away from Tony Romo, and London Fletcher just mistimed it. It looked like he did not expect Jason Witten to get a hand on the ball, and then he would have timed it perfectly. But once Witten did get the hand on it, it deflected a little higher, and he was unable to bring that in. That's an area of this defense. In fact, both defenses have not been very good at takeaways.
So a 3 and out to start the day for this Dallas offense. And Antoine Randall makes the fair catch. The Redskins will start at their own 16-yard line. 44-yard punt, nothing on the return, and here comes Jason Campbell. And this Redskins offense, which is overall ranked 24th in the NFL.
This is an offense that's been very up and down, and a big reason for that have been all of the changes along that offensive line. This is the 5th different offensive line combination that they have had now this season, and it's hard to develop any type of rhythm when you're making those kinds of changes along that offensive group.
Handoff is to Liddell Betts. Picks up 1. Igor Olshansky, DeMarcus Ware in on the stop. Olshansky is up front with Ratliff and Marcus Spears. It's a 3-4 defense, and playing without starting free safety Ken Hamlin, as Alan Ball gets the start back there.
A secondary last week that got banged up pretty good against Green Bay, and they had to pretty much play everybody that was active in that game. They were able to get Alan Ball some work this week in practice at safety, and he replaces Hamlin.
First throw, and it's a completion of Moss, who lunges. And with where the official just put his foot down, inches short of a first down. It's 3rd and inches as Jenkins made the stop. As Greg Blosh, the defensive coordinator, some big names and some big bodies are inactive today. There's a look at Ken Hamlin, but Mark Colombo not at right tackle. Portis, Cooley, and Hainsworth not available to the Redskins. 3rd and inches. Handoff is to Betts. And I don't think he got it. Keith Brookings stuck his nose in there. It's 4th down. And a 3-and-out from the Redskins.
Yeah, Keith Brookings, the middle linebacker, he just hits it and is able to make the play and just did not go backwards. I mean, typically when you're coming in to fill that hole, the running back's got a head of steam coming at you and you can move the pile a little bit, but Brookings just did not budge at all.
So now the punt from Hunter Smith, who threw a touchdown pass last week against the Broncos. Longtime Colt. Here's Creighton on the return. Little room to move, and in that little tug of war of field position, over the first 8 games of the season, the Cowboy offense went 3-and-out a total of 12 times. They went 3-and-out 4 times last week at Green Bay. 3-and-out first time they had the ball today. Here's Marion Barber. Barber picks up 8.5. Fred Smoot on the stop, and Barber almost broke that one.
You can see Cornelius Griffin right here, and the job that Dallas does inside. I mean, typically you're going to have Albert Hainsworth in the middle there, and he just gets rolled over. And you see the lane then that is developed. A good job inside there by center Andre Gerard, and then right guard Leonard Davis.
You've got the entire world screaming for the Cowboys to run the ball more. And the biggest presence for the Redskins on their defensive line is not active. Here's Felix Jones carrying for 4, and you and I talked about it coming to the stadium today. Jason Garrett with all the pressure on him. Wade Phillips talked about it. Jerry Jones talked about it. Call-in shows, sports writers, everybody's saying you abandoned the run, Jason Garrett. Get back to it. And we've seen it, well, everything but one play so far in this game.
Well, even the first possession, they ran it to Marion Barber on 1st down, got 5 yards, threw it on 2nd, nothing, and then had to punt after the incompletion on 3rd down. So heavy run, I would expect.
Here's another one. Here is Felix Jones over the right side on 1st down, gets 7. I said all but one. Actually, that one completion to Witten for no gain, then the incompletion on 3rd down. Otherwise, Troy, it's been on the ground and it's been big chunks for the Dallas offense.
And we've seen now Felix Jones get a couple of opportunities, and I think that's the one area where some people were disappointed that he didn't get more opportunities last week in that loss against Green Bay. Not that he needs to have the ball every time he's out there, but they would at least like to get him 20 to 25 snaps a game. He's been well below that since coming back from his injury.
Now it's Barber cutting back across the formation, has a 1st down to the 24. London Fletcher on the stop, a gain of 8.
And again, Leonard Davis, the right guard, doing a good job. And you're going to see Marion Barber. Here's Leonard Davis, a big man. He, again, is going to collapse Cornelius Griffin, and you can see the lane that's created in behind that. Of course, you got tight end Jason Witten, who's a good point of attack blocker. And it was designed there to try to shield him and then let Barber get in that lane, which he did.
Another run. 5 straight. Marion Barber picks up 8. So that's 5 straight carries for 37 yards to open this drive.
Yeah, and I think you've got to look at where those runs are hitting too. They're hitting right in the middle. I mean, we've shown they're doing a good job on Cornelius Griffin, but the other guy who would be there is Albert Hainsworth. That's not lost on Jason Garrett, the guy calling the plays. You got a big body like Albert Hainsworth not on the field. You know, that becomes an area then that you try to attack.
Inside the red zone now. Cowboys 1 touchdown in their last 5 red zone drives. Barber. Ball comes out. Picked up by the Redskins. Romo makes the tackle. He's flat on his back as Hall comes out of there, and the Redskins have the football, and Romo is injured. Marion Barber fumbled it. They're still checking on Romo and his back. On the sideline for Dallas, Marion Barber, his first fumble this season. He fumbled it 7 times last year. And now penalty flags and a false start.
Number 7.
And Stefan Heyer, who's back at right tackle, guilty of the false start. Let's go back to the fumble.
And as you're going to see, I mean, Marion Barber clearly is off the ground when the ball comes out. I couldn't tell exactly what happened to London Fletcher there, but at the end of this play, when Romo goes to make the tackle, he takes a knee right there in the back, which was right below his rib protector, and that's what they were checking on the sideline with him, with the medical staff.
For D'Angelo Hall, his 5th takeaway this season. 4 interceptions now, a fumble recovery. Here's Liddell Betts, and on 1st and 15, Betts gets 2. The story with Betts, as he makes his 2nd straight start. Last week, he made his first start since December 30th of 06. He carried it 26 times for 114 yards. He's made 12 starts in his NFL career. 7 times he's been over 100 yards for a game. He's been playing behind Clinton Portis, who's missing his 2nd straight game, out with a concussion. 2nd and 13. Play action from Campbell, and the pass incomplete, and DeMarcus Ware was right in the face of Jason Campbell when he spun around. It's 3rd and 13. So they still look at Tony Romo over on the bench, and now he is up and trying to stretch out his back and get loose. D'Angelo Hall's getting attention on the Washington sideline. It's 3rd and 13. Quick setup. The throw's not there, and Jason Campbell somehow stays on his feet and completes it to Thomas. What a good play by Jason Campbell as he got away from DeMarcus Ware and threw one for 27 yards.
Yeah, because initially there was nowhere for Jason Campbell to throw the football, and DeMarcus Ware comes underneath, and I thought they were going to whistle that one, but Jason Campbell kept it alive, and once he started to scramble, there was a little bit of a letdown in that Dallas secondary, which allowed him then to find an open man. Dallas just going with a 3-man rush, 8 in coverage. A good job by Jason Campbell of keeping it alive and then finding the open man.
10th catch of the season for Devin Thomas. 27 yards and a first down. Handoff is to Betts, running right. Nothing there. Cuts it back. Brady James on the stop after a gain of 2.
And then Liddell Betts is a little bit slow to get up right now also, and as he comes hobbling off to the sideline, and they'll go with Rock Cartwright. But so far in this game, Washington's not gotten much movement in that offensive line, and here's the play at the end. It looks like, you know, he got rolled up there on the ankle by Brady James.
He's been bothered by a bad ankle, and he's really struggling to get back to the sideline. D'Angelo Hall, they're saying a knee contusion. That's what they're looking at on the Redskins side. Here's Campbell out of the shotgun. Over the middle, and the pass broken up. Incomplete for Santana Moss. Jenkins on the coverage. Moss hops up looking for a flag, doesn't get it, and it's 3rd and 8.
Yeah, Dallas, they brought a little pressure, locked up man-to-man across the board, safety high, and then it's just one-on-one. And they've got their best wide receiver, Santana Moss, against Mike Jenkins. And Mike Jenkins in pretty good coverage. You know, Mike Jenkins is a 2nd-year player and has really had a heck of a sophomore year. Struggled last year and has come on here in recent weeks.
3 interceptions over his last 7 games. It's 3rd and 8. That's Stefan Heyer, his 2nd of the game.
False start, number 74. Offense, 5-yard penalty. 3rd down.
Yeah, you see who's opposite him. DeMarcus Ware. And he knows he's got one heck of a speed rush, as good as anybody's in the game. Led the NFL last year in sacks, and he's trying to anticipate the snap as much as DeMarcus Ware is.
And the other guy who was looking was Rock Cartwright. He's looking to his right, Cartwright, and he sees not only DeMarcus Ware but Anthony Spencer lined up.
Sorry, Joe. You see DeMarcus Ware there shielding his face. That's a sign for alert for the screen. 3rd and long. A lot of teams then want to go with the screen pass.
And here it is. Rock Cartwright. Spencer. It's 4th down. Terrence Newman, first guy there, a gain of only 1. And after that completion on 3rd and long earlier in the drive, it ends for Washington here.
Yeah, Dallas anticipating screen, and initially it looked like Washington might have some guys out in order to make the block, but they come off the edge. The corners for Dallas are very active in run support. Not afraid to tackle, and got in there and disrupted the screen.
Smith just got it away. No penalty flag is down. Creighton makes the catch, a fair catch at the 12. And now how will Tony Romo be now that the Cowboys have the football? Dallas starts at their own 12. Romo, who had his back checked after making a tackle on that fumble return by D'Angelo Hall. Last time the Cowboys had it, looks like he's moving around okay. And Felix Jones carries it for 4. Meanwhile, we were going to break. I thought for a moment, Troy, like these two were trying to fire each other up. But Dave Campo and Terrence Newman were in each other's face.
Yeah, well, they did fire each other up. And Dave Campo, he was my head coach there for my last season, and he came back. He's the secondary coach now, and he's as fiery as they come. I don't think he was real happy with Washington converting that 3rd down when Jason Campbell avoided the sack.
2nd down and 6. Romo in trouble, throws and completes to Bennett. All right, Kurt, thanks. Well, last week New Orleans had their hands full with St. Louis, and now they're trailing early at Tampa Bay. Here's Felix Jones on a toss running left, and he is across the 30 to the 31. Picked up 7 where Fred Smoot made the tackle for the Redskins. I think whatever message was sent by the owner and the head coach to play caller Jason Garrett was heard, as we've seen a lot of Felix Jones here early.
Yeah, and that's pretty much what I expected. There was a, I don't want to say a knee-jerk reaction, but it certainly seems that when there's when you're heavily criticized in one area, then the next week you come back and you try to kind of correct that, and everyone coming into this game thought that they were going to get a heavy dose of the run.
2nd down and 3. And it depends on the spot as Felix Jones picks up about 2.5. Looks to be short of a 1st down. Let's go down to Pam Oliver.
Well, Joe, how excited was Jim Zorn about the spark Liddell Betts provided the run game? Well, that enthusiasm has been dampened. Liddell Betts has a knee injury significant enough that it warrants him to be done for the rest of the day.
Wow.
Back to you.
Well, there's news. So now it falls to Rock Cartwright, Quinton Ganther. That's all that the Redskins have left at running back. Reset ankle. It was a knee, and Marion Barber picks up a Dallas 1st down. Here's the injury to Liddell Betts. And he is finished for the afternoon.
Yeah, and that's a shame, too, because he has really provided this offense a great deal here over the last 6 quarters and gave them a burst and a toughness in that running game that had been lacking, primarily because of the nagging injuries to Clinton Portis. And now the game plan's probably going to have to change a little bit. I mean, they're still going to run the football, be a little different with Rock Cartwright, but I think more of the load now clearly on Jason Campbell.
Big toss, and the pass is tipped and nearly intercepted by Rocky McIntosh.
Well, that explains why the Redskins came into this game as the worst defense in the NFL in terms of takeaways. They've had 2 opportunities now for interceptions that have hit them right in the hands and have failed to make the play. I mean, it does not get any easier for that. Of course, London Fletcher missed out on the opportunity there on the first possession. They did get the fumble from Marion Barber, but they should have had 3 takeaways already in this first quarter.
Anthony Montgomery tipped it at the line. It's 2nd and 10. A little misdirection, and it's Barber over the left side, lowers his shoulder and picks up 4. London Fletcher on the stop. Bring up 3rd down and 6 for Dallas.
You know, you look at Washington on defense, and they've been awfully good against the pass. Now, some of that has been, you know, who they've played. Some of it has been the teams have gotten out ahead of them, and so they've run the ball a little bit more. Run defense seems to be where they're susceptible. So, you know, from that standpoint, and in addition to not having Albert Haynesworth, it's not surprising that Dallas has come into this game running the football and having some success with it.
Already 66 yards on the ground for Dallas. They've got 3rd and 6. Romo throws and incomplete, trying to force it into Jason Witten, and it was broken up. Fletcher was in there. Dowdy was covering. 2 men on Jason Witten, and the pass incomplete, 4th down.
Yeah, you see Tony Romo talking to Miles Austin and telling him that he's got to go. You know, he's got to get out of there and clear out some areas. And, you know, Dallas comes into this game obviously shaken from what happened last week at Green Bay, and so far Washington's done a good job defensively.
McBriar to punt. Santana Moss is waiting deep. Line drive punt. Chance to run a little bit. Moss to the near side, and he is out to the 28. Bobby Carpenter back on the field defensively for Dallas. He just took a big hit covering the punt and took the hit from Devin Thomas, the receiver. And now Brooking gets in there, and he wasn't alone. A sack and a loss of 5. Carpenter, Ware, Brooking, they were all there.
Yeah, they brought the pressure with Brooking up the middle, and then Carpenter off the edge, and nobody was able to pick up Keith Brooking. I think Dallas does a good job of bringing these linebackers. They do a nice job in tandem with Keith Brooking as well as Brady James, and a big sack there. And as you mentioned, I was a little surprised to even have Carpenter in the game, considering the hit that he took on the special teams. He got off the field. He was wobbling. It took a while for him to even make it to the sidelines. I'm still not sure he's completely with us.
It's 2nd down and 16. The officials are gathering. I didn't see a flag on the field. I still don't. But the officials get together. Alberto Riverone is our referee. And while they talk, there are 24 seconds left in this opening quarter. No score. So whatever happened, we'll find out now.
Illegal use. Number 41. Receiver. 5-yard penalty. Automatic first down.
So it's against Terrence Newman. That's a call that went against Troy, this Dallas secondary, a lot last week at Green Bay.
That's right, and they spent this week trying to clean it up, and you see the left hand that went to the face mask. Pretty good pickup there by the official, actually. You know, you can't go to the face like that, and you called it, Joe. Last week they had a number of those penalties in the Green Bay game. It kept drives alive, and now you eliminate a sack, you know, and you give Washington a first down.
It's the first Dallas penalty of the day. They've had 21 over the last 2 games, and it wipes away that sack. A couple of the banged up Redskins. Liddell Betts is out for the rest of the game with a left knee injury. D'Angelo Hall has a knee contusion. The official word on Romo, when they checked on him, a left hip contusion. But he's come back since. Now it's 2nd down and 8, and here is Rock Cartwright. DeMarcus Ware can't make the tackle. Brady James does, a gain of 6. Here's Rock Cartwright, Troy, who coming into today, just 29 rush attempts and 97 rushing yards over the last 4 seasons. 41 of those rushing yards last week against the Denver Broncos, and there's his season, and now he's going to be the featured back against the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, and I've always liked him. I mean, you're right. He hasn't gotten a lot of carries. That last run probably should have been stopped for about a 1-yard gain. Does a nice job of getting more out of it. But disappointing that Liddell Betts, given his opportunity to be the guy, goes down with the injury.
Here is Cartwright, makes the catch and turns it into a first down. What a play by Cartwright.
And Mike Jenkins, who you see that bandage around his left bicep, he got hit in the left arm last week and had to come out. He's back in the lineup today, but a great job there of Jason Campbell laying that over the top and giving Rock Cartwright a chance to make the play, and then Rock Cartwright even breaking some tackles to pick up the first down. Been a tough couple weeks on Mike Jenkins physically.
Now Quinton Ganther is in at the running back spot. Play action to Ganther, pressure on Campbell, and he throws, nearly picked by Skandrick. Pass intended for Kelly. Skandrick flashed in front. It's 2nd and 10.
Yeah, there's Kelly and Orlando Skandrick on the outside, and there wasn't a whole lot there. I think if Jason Campbell had been able to stick that one on him a little bit, maybe back shoulder, he's got a chance. Going back to last week's game, I thought Jason Campbell was pretty erratic for the most part, particularly early in that game. And part of it is that he's just been under so much pressure this year.
Here's Ganther, and in the middle of it, Siavi makes the play.
Well, some of these division races are about over, but the wild card's going to be real interesting here over the next 6-7 weeks.
It's 3rd down and 8. A blitz coming from Dallas. Carpenter off the edge. Pass complete to Moss. Campbell hung in there long enough. He found Santana Moss, good for 18 yards and a Washington first down.
What a job by Jason Campbell, hanging in there, knowing he's going to get hit, and just hanging with it as long as he could and as long as he had to in order to make a good throw. I mean, just an excellent job on his part. And I spoke about it just a moment ago. Jason Campbell has been hit an awful lot. They'd like to get the ball into the hands of Santana Moss more. They'd like to get into his hands down the field a little bit more. They have not done a real good job of that. And a big part of that is they've just not been able to hold the ball long enough to let him get down the field.
18 yards on 3rd and 8 for a first down, and now Cartwright over the right side. Skandrick makes the stop, a gain of 5. This is a Washington team that's converted a 3rd and 13. They're 3 for 5 on 3rd down, 2 for 2 on this drive, and now they're at the Dallas 25, threatening to score the first points of the day.
Well, they've made some nice plays here. Jason Campbell has the one to Rock Cartwright to pick up the first down. This last one to Santana Moss, and go back to the hands to the face by Terrence Newman and how that eliminated a sack. This drive probably is not where it's at right now if that penalty had not have occurred.
2nd down and 5. Campbell's in trouble, and a sack for Dallas. Ware and Brooking.
I didn't think the offensive line was too bad, actually, in protection. Great coverage, though, by Dallas. Man-to-man coverage across the board, and just nowhere to go with the football. You see it, and even though he had some time, here's where they're trying to get the deeper throw. At times, they've had people open, and Jason Campbell has missed them. This time, they try to get the ball down the field, and nobody's able to get open. And the Dallas Cowboys come away with a sack.
Thought it was interesting what Jim Zorn said about Campbell. He said he's had so much pressure on him this season. Who you rooting for? If you're rooting for the Redskins, you're hoping for something big on 3rd and 14. Just a 3-man rush and an underneath handoff to Cartwright. Cartwright takes it to the 27, and they take a little bit of the pressure off Sweezum. A gain of 8. Ball and James were there to make the stop.
Yeah, it took a lot of pressure off Sweezum because I think it was a good call. 3-man rush, 8-man in protection. They run the draw play, and they pick up some pretty good yardage there that gets them into field goal range. I don't know that they give it a shot from where they were initially, but now they're within his range.
Sweezum hasn't missed this season. Last year, an NFL high 10 misses. 45-yard attempt is perfect. And it's the Redskins who score first here this afternoon against the Cowboys. 3-0 Washington. 3-0 Redskins with 10:22 left in the half. Felix Jones is waiting for the kick from Sweezum, who just hit from 45 yards. Now 13 for 13 on the year. against Felix from just outside the 5. Devin Thomas, first guy there, did not make the tackle. Cowboys got a late touchdown last week at Green Bay. Only 2 touchdowns their last 23 possessions. Difference in attack today. They've carried it 12 times for 66 yards last week, 14 times all game for 61. Here is carry number 13. It's Marion Barber. Stays upright after getting around Smoot and picked up 2 over the right side.
You know, the only problem with running the football, whether it's Dallas or anybody else, and Dallas has done a great job here in this first half of running the football, but what do they have to show for it? They haven't scored a touchdown yet. Yes, they had the turnover, but you've still got to be able to make plays in the passing game. Right now, Tony Romo with only 7 yards passing here in this first half. It's an offense that came into the game today second in the NFL in terms of big plays, and when you're not throwing the ball, you're not creating big plays, and therefore you're not going to score a lot of points. I think they're playing into the hands of the Redskins right now.
2nd and 8. This pass is complete to Witten for a first down. Decent coverage by McIntosh right on his back, but a perfect throw from Romo. And Troy, when we watch Romo move around, he still looks like he's bothered by that low back left hip contusion.
Yeah, I think that he is. As we see that Doug Free's getting a little help there by John Phillips, the other tight end, and you know, but he is able to make a good throw. And I agree with you, Joe. Watching him move around a little bit, it appears that that injury is bothering him some, but certainly not enough for him to still deliver the football accurately.
An 11-yard gain on that completion to Witten, and now Marion Barber right up the gut to the Dallas 49, picked up 13 yards before Reed Dowdy made the stop for the Redskins.
Yeah, I'm just not so sure that Dallas would be running it right up the middle the way that they have been if Albert Haynesworth were playing. You know, most of these runs where they've had any kind of success are right where Albert Haynesworth would be lined up. But the offensive line for Dallas, that is the strength right there in the middle with Andre Gerard and Leonard Davis, and they're getting a good push.
Here's more from Marion Barber running behind Doug Free over on the right side, picked up 4.
Tell you, we saw Reed Dowdy there, the safety, come up and make a big hit on Marion Barber, and that's what it takes. I mean, Marion Barber is a tough guy to get to the ground, and so you start bringing those safeties up, and then that is when you can start to get the big play down the field. They're running the ball so well. I would expect some play action here real soon, something down the field. You're going to have a one-on-one matchup on the outside with a safety biting up, and Washington has been susceptible to that here in recent games.
Romo throws. There's Austin. Bad throw behind him and incomplete. Who offensively is having a better season as a rookie this year in the NFL than Percy Harvin?
He's been remarkable, and that's a hard position for a rookie to come in and contribute. He's not only contributed, he's been a big part of that success.
It's 3rd down and 6. A pocket for Romo, who throws high, and it's dropped by Roy Williams. That pass could have been better, but Roy Williams got both hands on it and could not hang on.
Washington plays a cover 2 shell, and that's the hole. You know, a ball that gets away from Romo, but a ball that Roy Williams can catch. You know, you see he gets both hands on it, and he's just unable to haul that in. Of course, last week he had the big drop. He had the shield on and said it got into the lights, but you know, that was a significant drop. But should have had a better throw, but still a drop that would have earned them a first down.
So McBriar hits it end over end and calling for a fair catch.
You see Roy Williams here after that last 3rd down play. He does not have the clear shield that he had last week in Green Bay. Of course, after he dropped that pass, he took it off, but he is not wearing it again in this game.
Here is Rock Cartwright making moves, and a big run for Rock Cartwright. Brooking forces him out. And a drive that starts at the 14-yard line for Washington, up by 3. First play, 34 yards for Rock Cartwright.
Yeah, and that's something that Washington has just struggled with, being able to create some big plays within their running game, but he does a good job of getting in behind that offensive line and then recognizing where the cutback lane was, and Santana Moss getting into the action also. Of course, a missed tackle there by Alan Ball, who we said earlier in the game he's making the start at safety for Ken Hamlin. Ken Hamlin, who had been struggling this year, had been a pretty good player in run support. That time Alan Ball failed to make a play.
And now on first down, Campbell just flips, and that's an incomplete pass. Incomplete pass with pressure, Spencer and Olshansky. Spencer keeps coming close, but he still has yet to record his first sack.
Yeah, you know, and he's actually had a good year. I think that when you're talking about pass rushers, you immediately look at the sacks and you see that he does not have any. And then you consider the fact that so many guys are having to block DeMarcus Ware on the other side. But Anthony Spencer's actually had a pretty good season. Very good against the run. Last week he had a couple of opportunities. Aaron Rodgers got the ball out of his hand just in time. And he is frustrated about not having had a sack, you know, here in the 10th game of the season.
Quick throw, and there's Spencer getting up to knock it away. Devin Thomas, the intended receiver, and that was pretty easy for Anthony Spencer.
Yeah, Levi Jones, who's making his second start after being out of football for the entire summer. He's just got to get his hands on the ground. I mean, anytime you're throwing the quick pass like that as an offensive lineman, you've got to come out and hit the defensive end so that he's not able to get up and block the pass, as we saw from Anthony Spencer. And Levi Jones is, you know, amazingly out of football. He started 10 games last year for the Cincinnati Bengals, was an early round pick back in '02, 10th overall as a matter of fact, but did a nice job last week in that Denver win.
It's third down and 10. Underneath it's Cartwright, and Rock Cartwright is wrestled down at the 46. Short of first down yardage, Stephen Bowen and Orlando Scandrick made the stop.
But I think overall that was a pretty good possession for Washington. They're backed up. They get the big run there by Rock Cartwright. Now it bogs down on them here at midfield, but they're able to now shift field position, which I think is real important, particularly when you've got a defense that has been playing as well as Washington has. I think that the longer this game goes as a close game, the better opportunity I believe the Redskins have for an upset.
Hunter Smith hits it end over end. Creighton lets it go over his head and now into the end zone. Well, there's the play selection. 15 running plays, only 8 through the air, but it's 3-0 Washington as the Redskins lead with 6:06 left.
And by running it that much, you shorten the game, which is what Washington wants.
Here is Felix Jones bouncing it outside, and he is flipped by D'Angelo Hall. Gain of just 2.
Good job by D'Angelo Hall. Well, I think we're seeing more and more corners in the league that are coming up and willing to make tackles in the run game. There was a time, in fact, I played with one of them in Deion Sanders. You know, Felix Jones landed on his head there, but you know, rarely would you find a good cover guy that was willing to come up and really stick his neck in there on a running play, and yet D'Angelo Hall did right there. Of course, earlier in the season we saw where he turned a few down, but a nice play there on Felix Jones in the open field.
You saying Deion Sanders didn't like the tackle guys?
Well, he said they were business decisions.
2nd and 8. Romo down the middle, and there's Bennett, his second catch. And the big tight end, who during camp was talked about being a weapon to pick up some of the slack with the departure of Terrell Owens, now has 12 catches on the year.
Well, you're going to see him catch this ball. I mean, he cradles it. He doesn't use his hands, and you can see he's waiting to get hit. And not the confident receiver that we had seen throughout training camp. I mean, he made so many plays back in preseason, a lot of expectations coming into this year, and makes a big play there. But you could tell that just still a little uncertain about catching the ball. He's had some drops this year.
Delayed handoff to Felix Jones, and a nice gain on first down of 6. This, by the way, is a Washington defense. Over their last 3 games, they've allowed 7 plays of 30 or more yards, 6 for touchdowns. So while overall the stats are good, over the last 3 games, it's been 3 individual performers who have done it. Deshaun Jackson with the Eagles, Michael Turner, 2 big runs from the Falcons, and then Brandon Marshall last week had touchdowns of 40 and 75 yards at the Redskins. On second down, here's more from Jones. And Felix is a yard short of a first down, getting 3. This is the lap of luxury. This is the house that you helped build here, Aikman, and now that's how you do it. You get to sit down on the field level, and whoever's in a suite, from what I gather, also has seats up above because that vantage point's not that great.
I don't know that there's a bad vantage point in this
Well, I mean, you're looking at the back of the legs of huge NFL players. It's 3rd and 1 as Liddell Betts is carted off the field, and here is Marion Barber brought down right at the marker.
Yeah, that's going to be close. They're saying it's 1st down. You know, you talk about Washington defensively and some of the big plays that they've given up, Joe. Still yet, over the last 6 games, the most yards that they've given up in a game is 306 yards, and that was 2 weeks ago against Atlanta. Now, last week, the Denver Broncos came out, and it was an aerial assault, and they got a lot of big plays, 260 yards in the first half, but then Kyle Orton went down. And Chris Sims came in, and then they just completely shut down that Broncos offense. Otherwise, you know, it might have been a huge day for them.
1st down for Dallas. Little flip forward for Marion Barber. And Barber gets 8. Fred Smoot on the tackle. 2.5 minutes left in the half, and the Cowboys have all 3 of their timeouts remaining.
I think that's what's challenging for a defense, that, you know, you cover up the big play. You know, Romo typically is looking to go down the field with the ball, and so you drop linebackers trying to take those intermediate throws away, safeties deep, and then you get a guy like Marion Barber coming out, and a lot of room to run.
2 minutes left in the half. 2nd down and 2. Dallas has been able to move the chains. 8 first downs, 143 yards, but nothing on the scoreboard as Barber gets to the edge, has a 1st down. He's forced out by Doughty after a gain of 8 with 1:54 left in the half. This is a Dallas team that's trying to avoid being shut out in the first half in back-to-back games. Shut out last week at Green Bay. But knocking on the door here in field goal range at the moment for Nick Folk. They have bigger ideas than 3 points as this pass is incomplete, but a penalty flag as Witten looked to have been held by Doughty, but there are 2 flags down on the field.
Holding number 76, offense. 10-yard penalty. Replay 1st down.
They threw a flag in the area where the pass came down incomplete. It was Flozell Adams and Tony Romo with that hip contusion. Went down, and here's the penalty.
Yeah, this Flozell Adams, and it's Andre Carter, and he's the one who was able to get up after the hold and put the hit on Tony Romo in the pocket. And, you know, we talk about it a lot. Flozell Adams, he struggles with the speed rushers. He's just gotten, you know, he's a big guy, he's a tall guy, doesn't move quite as well. And Andre Carter is one of those speed rushers and can give him some fits.
Brian Arakpo, who is the rookie and the 1st-round pick out of Texas, and who has been terrific with 7 sacks. That's a Redskins rookie record, the most in the league by a rookie. And there he is right there trying to stretch out and just can't continue.
Yeah, the good news is it looks like a cramp, and you're right, Joe. I mean, he has had one heck of a rookie year. I mean, it's one thing to come in and play well as a rookie. It's an entirely different thing when you were a defensive end in college, and now you're being asked to make the transition to a 3-4 scheme, a stand-up outside linebacker, and then also play over a tight end. He struggled early in the season a little bit. Took him about a month to really get his feet under him and figure out the position and what he was being asked to do playing in space. But he has been outstanding. He's going to be a heck of a player in this league for a long time.
Certainly the presence of Hainsworth has added to that effort getting to the quarterback. Play action from Romo, who steps up, throws it backward to Marion Barber, and Barber is out of bounds with a gain of 1. Chris Wilson made the stop. And right now the Cowboys are on the edge, probably just beyond field goal range for Folk.
I'll tell you, this Washington pass defense coming in #1 in the league, and they're facing an offense in Dallas that overall has been pretty explosive and throws the ball well, and they've held up well. Now Dallas has not thrown it a lot, certainly not as much as they typically do, but that time great coverage forced Romo to come underneath to Marion Barber for not much of a gain.
And now a false start.
False start, number 70, offense. 5-yard penalty, second down.
That's Leonard Davis.
You know, this drive was looking pretty good for Dallas, and they were moving the chains and getting into field goal range, potentially a touchdown here before the end of this first half. Now they're outside of field goal range, and I'll tell you, if Washington comes out of this without giving up any points, it'll be a heck of a job on their part. Of course, a lot of it self-induced here by Dallas.
Redskins have only one timeout remaining. 2nd and 23. Romo throws and completes to Bennett. Back inside field goal range, and for Martellus Bennett, his 3rd catch of this half. He came in with only 10 all year.
Well, I showed the body catch a little bit earlier that he made, and he's banged up. Now, a lot of guys going down here in this first half, but a good job by him. You know, a ball that gets away from Tony high, and he's able to go up and make that play. Now, this is a very athletic tight end, and he does have exceptional hands. I spoke about it a moment ago. He's had some drops, but you know, he's got some good hands, just about gaining some confidence. A nice catch by him.
So now Dallas has to use a timeout as Bennett can't get up. Got that hit from Carlos Rogers, who did not make the start here this afternoon, but is getting plenty of action. Double moves have been his problem so far, and that's what sent him to the bench last week in the home game against the Broncos. Now it'll be 3rd down and 8. The ball is at the 28, inside field goal range, and we'll see how the Dallas Cowboys finish this drive. That was an important completion for Dallas to Martellus Bennett.
Yes, it was, because as you just said, it got them from outside of field goal range to now within field goal range. So even if they don't pick up any more yards here, they've got an opportunity to come away with a field goal.
Be a 46-yard try from here. But a 3rd down and 8, and a chance for this Dallas offense, which comes in 4th best statistically in the NFL, averaging over 390 yards per game. Faces 3rd and 8. Romo down the middle and off the hands of Roy Williams. Well, Ron Landry was back there for Washington. Williams got his hands on it, couldn't pull it in. And now the field goal try from Folk.
You're going to see the blitz here by Washington, and Dallas does a good job of picking that up. And Tony has time, and he's got an open receiver. And just like the previous throw that he tried making to Roy Williams that they were unable to connect on, ball that got away. Right, Tony has missed some here in this first half, and they've all been high, the ones that he's failed to complete.
Roy Williams does not have a catch. 10 over the last 2 games combined. And here's a 46-yard try that is missed wide to the right. What a first half of football for the Dallas Cowboys. It has been frustrating, I'm sure, for Wade Phillips. He's seen his team able to move it, but they still have nothing on the scoreboard. And now Folk, who missed last week from 38 yards at Green Bay, misses wide right from 46.
And that was a significant miss last week. You know, completely changed momentum. Now this one does as well. You're able to tie the game up, but now not only do you not get the 3 points, but you give the ball to Washington with still plenty of time on the clock with great field position.
And now Jason Campbell out of the shotgun will try to move it. Washington with 1 timeout remaining. Pass is complete to the tight end Fred Davis. And the 2nd-year pro out of USC picks up 17. Brady James on the tackle. And we're under a minute to play. Campbell throws and completes. That's Santana Moss. Newman on the coverage, a gain of 5, 50 seconds left.
With Fred Davis, or excuse me, with Chris Cooley going down with the injury 3 weeks ago, this has really helped with Fred Davis. I mean, he's had to do more. He's had to do more within the blocking game. He's been asked to do more as a receiver, and good for Washington. He's coming along. I mean, a guy with immense talent, and especially since that injury to Chris Cooley, he has grown each and every week, in a nice route on that previous catch.
14 catches over the last 3 games coming in. It's 2nd down and 5, and the pass incomplete for Antoine Randall. A dangerous throw, and Alan Ball was there defending for Dallas.
Yeah, I don't think Antoine Randall wanted any part of that one, or if he was going to get it, stick it on me. But I've got Alan Ball over the top, and you lead me upfield, and I'm going to take a pretty good lick. And that's where, I understand what Jason Campbell was thinking. If he can get it on him quick, then he's got a chance to pick up that 1st down. But just let him up the field where Randall did not want to go.
So now 3rd and 5, and the Redskins are outside field goal range at the moment.
And Dallas showing blitz here.
Pass is caught for a 1st down. It's Randall.
They lock up man-to-man, and they've got the safety high, and Randall just beats him inside. Not a good throw there by Jason Campbell. An outstanding catch by Randall.
Only 1 timeout remaining. Underneath, it's Rock Cartwright. He is to the 20, and Washington will take a timeout.
You're going to see Randall on the slot, and this is where he is so effective. And he comes in on the slant route and a ball that was behind him, but a great job of being able to haul it in. And you think back now to the miss by Folk on that field goal, and what a big shift this has been.
So Folk is left to think about another miss. Jason Campbell, meanwhile, as you look at his overall half, 4 for 5, 44 yards on this drive. Out of the shotgun, Carpenter coming on a blitz. Campbell gets outside and hops out of bounds.
And I don't think he threw it away. He didn't get it out of his hand, so he takes a sack, and there was no use for that. I mean, no need for Jason Campbell outside the pocket not to get the ball out of his hands. Just not a real smart play. I mean, they bring Bobby Carpenter off the edge. They don't block him at all, so immediately Jason Campbell's having to run, but just throw it away. And it was questionable. I'm not so sure you don't challenge that.
Well, it would come from the booth as to whether he got the ball out of his hands. It costs 5 yards of field position. It brings up 3rd and 6.
I'm a little surprised that the booth isn't taking a look at that. It looked like it was close enough to take a look and see, was his foot on the line prior to the ball being thrown out of his hands, and now they are.
Oh no, now it's a delay of game. It's a delay of game.
Delay of game. Offense. 5-yard penalty. 3rd down.
Redskins are saying that they never reset the play clock, and this moves the ball back to the 30. Remember, Washington does not have a timeout remaining, and it's 3rd and 11.
Well, we can't blame Jim Zorn for that. He's no longer calling the plays, so that bullseye's on Sherm Lewis.
And now the Redskins won't play with it any longer. They bring their field goal team out onto the field. A 48-yard try coming from Sweezum, who's hit from 45. And now, I believe,
the previous play will be reviewed.
And you get your wish. They're going to review the previous play. Meanwhile, what's transpired since then is a delay of game call, which has moved the ball back a total of 10 yards since it looked like Campbell may have thrown that ball away.
Well, let me just ask you this. I mean, if they're now going to go back and review this play here, even, I mean, it looks to me like the ball might have been out of his hands. And even if it's not, does it still warrant a delay of game penalty on them if they're going back to review a play that in essence happened 2 plays ago? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do.
So to me, the fact that they're going back to review a play that was, it was the previous play, but the next play was the delay of game penalty, that regardless, the simple fact that they're reviewing it should mean that there then is no delay of game penalty,
which would move the ball back to the 20, and it would be 3rd down and 1 at the 20-yard line.
And that's about as animated as you're going to see Wade Phillips.
Well, he's saying if you're going to review it, your clock ran out. The time when you had a chance to call that from the booth has expired. Since then, there's been, as you said, a delay of game call. It's moved the ball back to the 30. In essence, you would gain 10 yards of field position if they overturn the call on the field, and it would be 3rd down and 1 from the 20, and if nothing else, make it easier on the field goal try for Sweezum. Right now, the Redskins, if they don't reverse the call, are looking at a 48-yard try.
And you know, I got to tell you, I think Wade Phillips, I think he has a legitimate complaint as well. I mean, I thought they should have reviewed it right away. I mean, that was a significant call. You know, saying Jason Campbell had not gotten the ball out of his hands prior to stepping on the out-of-bounds line. But I think that Wade Phillips makes a valid argument in that, hey, that burden was on the officials and you failed to do it. Meanwhile, there was a delay of game penalty.
You can see Al Riveron say it should be third down. It'll be third down, but if they reverse the call, it'll be 3rd and 1 at the 20. And this is what we're talking about. Did Campbell get the ball out of his hand before his foot hit the boundary? And I think you can make an argument and say that he did. Dave Campo, who's he's been charged up all day. Already got into Terrence Newman's face, and now he's into the officials.
Well, I said that that's about as animated as you'll see Wade Phillips. Dave Campo can get a lot more animated. And we've seen it a little bit earlier in this game too.
You know, if you move the ball back to the 20, even with Washington not having a timeout left, you know, you have a more legitimate shot at taking a crack at the end zone and trying to get a touchdown here before the end of the half, as opposed to kicking a field goal.
Well, and even if all this stays as it is, you know, I would think that they would want to take a shot into the end zone. They're just, you know, because they have not protected Jason Campbell, they're just so worried that, you know, he takes a sack, it's the end of the half, and so they don't even want to try to mess with it.
I think a delay of this length, which has forced two things. One, you and I to talk on and on and on. And two, I think Al Riveron's trying to figure out where the football should be. And we'll get the call right now.
The quarterback did not step out of bounds. Therefore, we will reset the ball at the 21-yard line. Go back 5 yards for delay of game. It will be 3rd down from the 26-yard line. 3rd down and 6 from the 26-yard line.
I got to tell you, Joe, I don't agree with the delay of game if the ruling was wrong, because it changes then what the Redskins might have been trying to do offensively. I just
I agree.
Oh man,
I agree. But so they don't get the 5 yards back for the delay of game call, and it's at the 26.
Jim Zorn obviously doesn't agree with it either.
No, I agree with the Redskins now. Now if you're going to overturn the call, I think you go back and you put the ball back to where it would have been for the incomplete pass. The word from the league office is that unless there's been a snap, you can review, and the penalty would then go away for delay.
Would then go away.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's the argument that we're making. And you know, if we know that, you'd think the league would somehow be able to get word down to the officials.
Well, either way, if they're going to keep the field goal unit on the field, you're just talking about 5 yards in length for the field goal for Sweezum. This is well within his range, and it's really not that big of a deal. If they're not going to take one more shot at the end zone, it's really not that important. If Sweezum were to hit the field goal.
I talked about it a little bit earlier as far as, you know, the longer this game goes. I think that the longer it goes and it's a tight game, Washington has a real good chance of the upset, because they continue to gain more confidence while Dallas continues to get more frustrated. I think you can make the argument Redskins came into this game with more confidence than what the Cowboys did, and that's certainly going to continue to be the case as they go in here at halftime.
I think all of us in the booth believe it should be 3rd and 1 at the 20. Instead, they move the ball. They have it at the 26. And now Al Riveron's going to be called over to the Washington side. Love to know who's on the other end of that. And Jim Zorn is still saying, if you give us the yardage back for my quarterback running out of bounds when he did indeed throw it out of bounds, you should move the ball back and
I think what they're telling Jim Zorn now is that they are going to eliminate the delay of game penalty, and the ruling that we got from the league office has now been communicated to the proper people down on the field, and so it will all get sorted out. Just a matter of when.
This has been over a 6-minute delay. Talk about delay a game. And now Wade Phillips, the focus is back on him as he continues to argue. But the Redskins should get 5 more yards of field position. And I don't know why they wouldn't take a shot at the end zone. So they're saying the 21, not the 20. We have it on our log sheet up here as it should be at the 20. But it's the 21, and yet still Sweezum stays out there. And they're 15 seconds left.
Yeah, obviously still a lot of time. Here at 3rd down, you can take a shot into the end zone. And even if you do take a sack, as long as you're not running around and continuing to lose yardage, you still are within field goal range. And I think this is just a Redskin team that's been a little bit snake bit over the year, and they're going to just try to come out of this with 3 points and be happy with a 6-point lead at half.
Unless they try more trickery like they did against the Denver Broncos. 39-yard try is no good. So after all of that, now 10 seconds remain in the half, and it's a 3-0 Redskin lead.
Well, it looked to me like the snap and hold was good, and he just yanks it. Yeah, that's a big miss. I mean, it's 3 points, but it's a big miss because now all of a sudden momentum completely shifted. If they're able to make that field goal and go in with a 6-point lead, Dallas looks at this entirely differently, and now you see the face there of Jim Zorn, the frustration.
Sweezum just missed for the first time this season. It is the first time in 107 games that the Dallas Cowboys have been shut out in the first half in consecutive games. Cowboys will go in and try and fix whatever ails their offense. They've been able to move the ball, but they have not been able to put up any points, and they trail 3-0 here at the half. As we are set to begin the second half here at Cowboys Stadium. Dallas will kick it away. Washington will have it. Redskins are without Clinton Portis, now without Ladell Betts, who injured his knee early in the first half. Devin Thomas waiting for the kick from Beeler. Line drive, skips to Thomas from outside the 5. And Devin Thomas spins, stays on his feet. What a good return. Out to the 44-yard line is Devin Thomas. 39-yard return. That's his longest of the season.
I'll tell you where he does a good job is hanging on to the ball. A lot of times when you have contact like this and you're able to break some tackles, you've got defenders that are coming in behind you. They're going after the football, and a lot of times you'll see the ball then on the ground. You see him come in with both hands, securing it, and a nice return by Devin Thomas, and giving this Redskin offense outstanding field position to start this second half.
Out of the shotgun, rolling right. The pass is off the hands of Devin Thomas. And let's go down to the field and Pam Oliver.
Well, Joe, after that awkward end to the first half, I tell you what, people were shaking their heads as they came back onto the field. Jim Zorn emerged from the locker room with his thoughts focused on the run game. He says we have to continue to make it a priority. We can't abort it out of frustration. He also said Jason Campbell, we got to get him better protection because Dallas's linebackers are talented and they're coming. Back to you.
All right, Pam, and with the reshuffling of this offensive line for the Washington Redskins, Jim Zorn will tell you they are much better run blockers than they are as a group protecting the quarterback. Here's Cartwright, no gain, and it's 3rd and 10 coming up.
Yeah, and I'm not real sure why exactly they would be frustrated with their run game, because they've run the ball pretty well since Rock Cartwright came into the lineup. Now with Chad Reinhardt going down, I mean, they may have a little more problems running it here in this second half. He's their right guard who's making his second consecutive start there, and he gets rolled up.
Take a look at the injury to 75, Chad Reinhardt. And he is going to have to be carted off the field. Edwin Williams, who is a college free agent and a rookie out of Maryland, will come into this game. And so Joe Bugle, one of the best ever at coaching offensive lines in his great career. He's got his hands full, and the formula and the situation changes up front. We welcome you inside our broadcast booth, and we talked about this coming in with regard to the Washington Redskins. They've hung around long enough. They're up 3-0. They were a confident team coming in, and you know, we haven't seen much from the Dallas offense in the way of scoring, but here we are in a 3-point game, in a game that both teams are dying to get.
Well, as I've maintained, I mean, this is a Washington team. As this game remains close, they're going to continue to gain more and more confidence, and they're doing it shorthanded. I mean, they came into the game without Clinton Portis. Liddell Betts, who had given them a spark the last game and a half, he goes out immediately. Rock Cartwright has done a nice job. I think they'll continue to try to run the football, but now with this offensive line, you know, with Reinhardt going down, we'll see how they're able to manage that, because that's been the story for them offensively throughout this game, the shuffling, constant shuffling there along that offensive front.
And as we look at the other side for the Dallas Cowboys, obviously the focus was on running the football coming into today, and they've been able to run the football, and there have been stretches where it looks like the Redskins can't stop the Dallas Cowboys when they run the football. They had a turnover on a Marion Barber fumble. They've missed a field goal when they ran the ball effectively, and they've been shut out. It's going to be interesting to see what they do when they get the ball the first time in this second half.
Well, when you come into a game and you're going to run the football, as I said, you take the air out of the ball, and you can run it awfully well, as Dallas has, over 100 yards rushing there in the first half, and yet they have no points. Now, yes, a missed field goal, you fumble the ball, you don't convert on a third down, but that's what happens. And for a Dallas team that really prides itself on big plays, you take that element out of their game, and so it's going to be a close game. And I would expect them, even though they've run the ball well, I would expect them to open it up a little bit more. Now, Tony Romo hasn't been as sharp throwing the football either as what we've seen from him, and this is the second week where they've struggled with that passing game.
It's the right lower leg they have immobilized for Chad Reinhardt as he makes his way off the field. Took over for an injured Randy Thomas in weeks 3 and 4. Then Reinhardt went back to the bench. Now Edwin Williams, who wears number 50, takes over at right guard. Not a big guy at all, and as I mentioned, a college free agent, a rookie out of Maryland. And it's 3rd and 10. Just a 3-man rush, and the pass is caught right at the marker. That is Antoine Randall L, and it depends on the spot.
Well, it looks like a pretty good spot there for the Washington Redskins, and they're signaling the first down, and a 3-man rush. They're still able to get a little pressure on Jason Campbell. He hangs in there, and this is a good catch. I mean, this ball is challenged. It's a high ball, and he's able to bring that down. From that angle right there, you'd say, wow, it looks like he's short of the first down. Maybe a favorable spot, but a good conversion there for the Washington Redskins.
On 3rd down and 10. Here is Moss, and that's Newman with an immediate tackle. 2nd down and 11. And that'll be a false start on you name it. They all moved.
False start, number 76, offense, 5-yard penalty, 2nd down.
They get Levi Jones, but everybody moved up front. Now it's 2nd and 16, so the Redskins start to go backward.
We talked to Jason Campbell. He was talking about the well-documented shift in the play calling and Sherm Lewis coming in. And what's interesting, though, is his work week really hasn't changed much. He's still in communication with Jim Zorn like he was when Jim Zorn was calling the plays. In fact, he said he only says about 4 words to Sherm Lewis all week leading up to the game, which is mind-boggling to me.
Trying to set up a screen. There's nothing there. Cartwright was close enough, according to Alberto Riverone. No flag for grounding, and there was big pressure by Ratliff right up the middle.
Well, he clearly doesn't get outside the pocket. He's just going straight back, and then that ball's got to cross the line of scrimmage. I didn't see anybody in the area, and this crowd is being very boisterous, and they're wanting a intentional grounding penalty.
Yeah, it looked like they were trying to set up a screen for Cartwright. You see 31, he got hung up, but I mean, he's not really close to the ball at all. And it's 3rd and 16. Pass is caught by Moss. Carpenter cleans up after James missed on the initial try on the tackle. It's 4th down. And the punt team comes on for the Redskins.
Well, I know that's got to be pretty frustrating for Washington offensively to get the return to start this second half by Devin Thomas and then not to be able to do anything with it and come away with any type of points, but give the Dallas defense some credit.
4th punt of the afternoon for Hunter Smith. Throws the football down, and it's kicked end over end over the head of Creighton, and it checks up at the 6. First possession of the second half for the Cowboys starts at the Dallas 6. Wide receivers for Dallas today, no catches. And Marion Barber picks up a yard. That's it. Coming into this drive, Dallas 22 runs for 106 yards at a 4.8 average. 12 passes for just 62 yards. Austin has been thrown to once. And Romo's 0 for 1 going in his direction.
Yeah, it gets a little tougher. You know, the more games you play, the more success you have, and defenses start then rolling coverage your way and doing some different things. It becomes increasingly more difficult to have success, and that's why it's so impressive when you see some of the great receivers over the years do what they do week in and week out.
On second down, Romo throws for Witten, and Witten's got a first down at the 20. Third catch of the day for Jason Witten, and that's good for 13 yards.
Yeah, Andre Carter, they've got free out there on the outside, and he does a pretty good job. And then once he comes underneath, Carter that is, he gets a little help. And that was a nice catch by Jason Witten. And Romo taking another hit. I think he's still recovering from the hit that he took there in that first half in the back. He seems to be pretty ginger with it coming out onto the field.
First down at the 20. Romo throws in the direction of Austin. No flag. Incomplete. So a 10-point game there. You look at the NFC East. The Cowboys on top. The Eagles play tonight at Chicago. Redskins in the basement at 3 and 6. Handoff is to Marion Barber. London Fletcher is dragged for a yard. Barber picks up 8. It'll be 3rd and 2.
There didn't look like there was a whole lot there for Marion Barber, and he was able to find just enough and get through that for a nice gain. You look at that game with the New York Giants, Joe, and playing the Atlanta Falcons, both teams struggling, and you know, looking at that one, I really feel that when you look at the Giants schedule the rest of the way, that this was really a must-win for them. I just don't see them threatening to make postseason if they fail to win at home against Atlanta.
Handoff is to Choice, and Choice does not get the first down. Needed 2, picked up 1, and Rocky McIntosh was in there to make the stop for Washington. And credit this Redskins defense as Tony Romo and his frustration exits the field.
Good play right there by Rocky McIntosh, just hitting it and not allowing them to pick up the first down. And yeah, I mean, Romo's frustrated right now, I believe, because they're not giving him many opportunities to get the ball down the field.
Here is McBriar. Antoine Randall L waiting for the punt. And a fair catch. Convoluted. Would that be a good word to describe the play calling for the Washington Redskins?
Bizarre.
Bizarre. We'll talk about it as the Redskins start with it at their own 25. It's been talked about plenty as Cartwright carries over the right side. And Rock Cartwright brought down by Spears after a gain of 4.
Yeah, so as everybody knows, Sherman Lewis is the one who was brought in, and he now is calling the plays and has been for the last few games. And But yet when it's a running play, he then tells Sherman Smith that he wants to run the ball, and then Sherman Smith will make the running call. So Sherman Lewis decides when they're going to run it, but Sherman Smith is the one responsible for the actual play that's called when they do run it.
Here's a blitz right up the middle, and Cartwright is hit in stride, breaks a tackle. Spencer brings him down, and a big play to Rock Cartwright, his second of the game. That's 29 yards.
You know, typically when you got the back in the backfield, he's then going to block, but he doesn't. You see Spencer go right. He goes right by Anthony Spencer. He's in coverage, and Spencer's anticipating because it's a blitz. Rock Cartwright's going to stay in the backfield and block him as he comes on the blitz. Now, Brooking got through free, but that's why Rock Cartwright was as open as he was down the middle.
114 total yards for Rock Cartwright, picking up the slack for Portis and Liddell Betts. And that should be a penalty against Washington. Santana Moss, the intended receiver. Mike Jenkins in coverage. But Sellers was moving prior to the snap and going forward. Never reset.
Illegal motion, number 45 on the offense. He was going forward at the snap. That penalty is refused. Second down.
We'll go back and take another look at that last play, and you're going to see Anthony Spencer here. He's going to come on the blitz. He's anticipating that Rock Cartwright is going to block him, but instead Cartwright goes out on the route, and that's why he's able to get as open as what he was. There's Anthony Spencer on the coverage, and you know, you're not expecting then Cartwright to run a route up the field.
Redskins declined that penalty on the illegal motion. Here is Cartwright over the right side, no gain, and now it's 3rd down and 10.
Yeah, well, you know, we've seen Washington get into good field position, and then they've just stalled, and a big part of that has been because of the penalties that they've had. Now, as you said, Dallas declined the last penalty, but they've been in a lot of 3rd and longs. Washington has.
Blitz coming from Dallas. Campbell throws. Pass is complete. And what a good job by Skandrick. He hung on to Antoine Randall-El. And if Antoine Randall-El, Troy, had gotten away from that Jersey tackle, he had a lot of room to run.
Yeah, there's pressure here off the edge, and Campbell steps up. Nice job on his part. Under pressure, and you called it, Joe. I mean, Antoine Randall-El, if Skandrick does not make the tackle there, he's just hanging on, doing everything he can to keep him from getting loose. But had he have gotten loose, he would have easily picked up the 1st down.
Redskins pass on a 56-yard field goal try, and it's Creighton with a fair catch. Last drive for the Cowboys started at their own 6. This one starts at the 10. Dallas trails by 3. Romo with a nice pocket throws for Roy Williams. Doesn't get his head around. Pass hits him in the arm, and it's incomplete.
There's a lot of bodies around Roy Williams. I actually thought Romo was going to come underneath. He had Jason Witten wide open. And I don't know, you know, Roy, if he was not expecting the ball because of the coverage, but it would have been a tough catch. I mean, he picks it up late, and then it's over the opposite shoulder. But this is where I thought Romo was going to go with the ball, and instead he won. You know, and that happens. Sometimes you get so used to taking these shots down the field and connecting on big plays that we've talked about that you get frustrated when you don't have them and you start forcing some of those throws.
Here's a handoff to Felix Jones, picks up 3. And Romo is now 7 for 15 for 75 yards. That's it. It's 3rd and 7. Romo steps up, goes down the sideline, and throws it basically out of bounds, well behind Roy Williams, and it's another 3 and out. And this offense for Dallas is in no rhythm whatsoever.
And he had a lot of time to find somebody, and yet nowhere to throw the football, or at least he had no shot with Roy Williams. You know, he just airmailed it and decided that he would throw it away. But the offensive line on that play did a good job in giving Tony Romo time. He just couldn't find anyone.
So another punt from McBriar. Good punt with Antoine Randall waiting for it. Makes the grab and gets walloped at the 40. Only 3 points on the scoreboard. They belong to the 3-6 Washington Redskins. Skins have it. Handoff is to Cartwright. Brady James and DeMarcus Ware combined for that tackle, and there's the discussion with two wide receivers, Austin and Williams.
All across the league right now in stadiums where games are being played, there's this collection of receivers and wide receiver coaches discussing what they can do to get open on a given route. It hasn't happened yet, but it happened throughout my career. It's happened since the invention of football.
2nd down and 9. Here is Cartwright, lowers his head and pushes the pile to the 45. It'll be 3rd and 5 coming up. Gain of 4 by Cartwright. Why is Cartwright in the game? Well, Liddell Betts left early in the first half, a knee injury, out for the day, and an ankle injury for Chad Reinhardt. And Edwin Williams, a college free agent rookie, has taken over at right guard for Reinhardt. 3rd and 5. Campbell throws, penalty flag on the play as Kelly makes the catch. Malcolm Kelly down the sideline is out of bounds inside the 20. There is a flag down on the play.
Yeah, I think it's going to be called on Terrence Newman. Jason Campbell came out wanting to get the ball to Santana Moss. I actually thought Newman did a pretty good job of getting inside leverage and not allowing Santana Moss to get position. But I think that's where the call came in. And I believe they're going to call it on Terrence Newman.
It's a 1st down at the Dallas 19-yard line, a 36-yard catch and run.
Holding number 54 defense. That penalty is declined. The result of play is a 1st down.
It's actually on Bobby Carpenter, but here was the play, and Terrence Newman did do a good job. He gets inside, doesn't allow Santana Moss to get in on the slant route. That's where Campbell initially wanted to go, but credit Campbell for getting off of it quick enough and then coming back to Malcolm Kelly. That was a big conversion right there for this Redskin offense.
36 yards for Kelly, a career long in his 2nd year, 2nd round pick out of Oklahoma. First time inside the red zone for the Redskins, and a handoff to Rock Cartwright. A loss of 1. Olshansky made the play for Dallas, and he's trying to get this crowd pumped up. But right now, nothing is happening for this Dallas Cowboy team at all. 2nd and 11.
You know, and you said it, Joe, that this is the first time Washington has gotten inside the red zone here, you know, against Dallas. And although Dallas has not allowed many opposing offenses trips inside the red zone, over the last 5 games, teams have converted touchdowns 8 of 9 times in this area of the field.
And it's a false start.
False start. Number 86. Offense. 5-yard penalty. 2nd down.
That's Fred Davis, and for Washington, that is 4 false starts in this game.
You know, you come into this ball game and you're looking at Dallas and the team that they have and the season that they're having, and you feel that they're the better team because of Washington and the injuries and 3-6. But yet right now, I mean, this Washington should be dominating this game as well as their defense has played. They should be dominating the game, and yet they have really struggled down here in scoring position.
And now have to take a timeout with a play clock about to expire. So the first timeout in this half taken by the Redskins. 2nd and 16. Campbell throws over the middle. Devin Thomas can't get away from Brooking. A gain of just 1. Under 2 minutes to play in this 3rd quarter, and Jim Zorn's 3-6 Washington Redskins have a 3rd and long. 3rd and 16, and Campbell so far 10 for 10 in this game on third down.
Very good on third down, and considering how many long third and downs they've had, they converted 50% of them.
He has to come underneath to Rock Cartwright, and Cartwright will be brought down by Carpenter. A gain of 12. It's fourth down, and the field goal unit will come on for the Redskins.
Well, Dallas defensively does a good job of, they gave up some plays there and allowed Washington to get down into the red zone and have an opportunity for points, but they kept them from getting into the end zone. And assuming that Sean Sweezum makes this field goal, I mean, it's just a 6-point game and a one-possession game.
31-yard try by Sweezum. And the kick is drilled. 2 out of 3 on the day, and it's a 6-0 Redskin lead.
This Dallas defense has got to be getting a little frustrated, playing as well as what they are, only allowing 2 field goals, and offensively they haven't done much. In fact, going back to last week, the same situation. Dallas didn't score until late in the fourth quarter, and yet it was a defensive performance that on most Sundays would warrant a win. I think this Dallas defense has really played well here over the last 4 or 5 games. They started the year off very tough. Did not play well in the opener against Tampa. Did not play particularly well against the Giants in week 2. But since that time, they've put forth pretty good effort week in and week out.
Felix Jones waits for the kick. Takes it just inside the 10. And Jones is wrestled down up at the 24-yard line. Moments ago, Marcus Ware trying to pump up his quarterback, and when you look at this, it was supposed to be high scoring and high flying Cowboy offense. If they don't score in the next 34 seconds, they will have gone 7 quarters scoring a total of 7 points, which is hard to believe with the way they were rolling coming into that Green Bay game a week ago. 34 seconds left in the third quarter, and they start at their own 24. Penalty flag on the play as Bennett makes another catch. He's been busy, and Martellus Bennett is brought down just shy of the 30. And this one will be against the Dallas Cowboys.
Illegal shift, number 80, offense, 5-yard penalty, replay first down.
That's Bennett who made the catch.
Yeah, they motioned Bennett out. They went with their 12 personnel, which is 1 back and 2 tight end and then 2 wide receivers. That's a formation or a personnel grouping that's pretty good for them, because they are able to split Martellus Bennett out, or they can do the same thing with Jason Witten and make it more of a passing formation, and they can also run the ball out of that.
So now on 1st and 15, Romo buys some time, and he hits Miles Austin. Good play, and one of the few big plays today for Dallas. 23 yards to Miles Austin. Miles Austin made his first 3 starts, had 21 catches, 482 yards, 5 touchdowns. And Philadelphia made 1 catch, a game winner, a 49-yarder. Had no catches first 3 quarters last week at Green Bay. Ended up with 5 for just 20 yards, and just connected for his first on the day. A 23-yarder from Tony Romo. And Romo goes down. Tony Romo ends up on the ground, a sack and a loss of 5 yards.
He goes right through Leonard Davis, Cornelius Griffin. You're going to see, I mean, pretty good leverage right there, but he just keeps pushing Davis back. And then Romo has nowhere to go as he tries to step up. Griffin comes off the block and then makes the play.
Second sack of the season for Cornelius Griffin. Ball came out. Romo ended up getting back on top of it. And that's the first Washington sack of the day. Second down and 15. A handoff to Marion Barber. And Barber has enough for a Dallas first down. 16 yards on 2nd and 15.
Well, Washington goes too deep here with the safeties, which means they've only got 7 people to then defend the run, and good blocking up front, and that's why there was the big hole that there was. You get a defense playing coverage, you should be able to run the football. If you can't, you're going to be in for a long day, and the Cowboys executed perfectly.
On first down, pass to the sideline. That's for the backup tight end John Phillips, incomplete. On 2nd down, handoff is to Felix Jones. Official got in the way, and Felix Jones picks up 9. LaRon Landry on the stop.
Well, Felix Jones just kind of knifing his way through that one, because if LaRon Landry hadn't have been there, he was off to the races. You know, we talked about Felix Jones coming off the injury. He has not run with the same type of determination that we had seen from him earlier in the season. Has not had the big plays. He wears a knee brace on game day. He does not wear it during the week. I think that has factored in. But he picked his way through that one for a nice game.
It's 3rd down and 1. Career high 10 carries in this game for Felix Jones, and what a good play made by the defensive end Andre Carter. He got his hand around the leg of Marion Barber. Barber had a lot of room to run, had a first down in his sights, and a loss on the play as Carter really stayed with it.
Yeah, he fights right underneath Doug Free. Doug Free, we talked about making his first NFL start. Carter comes underneath, makes a big play. Not surprising to me here that the Cowboys are going for it.
Going to go for it on 4th and 2. 3 for 4 going for it on 4th down this season. Little pump fake from Romo, and now he's in trouble. Just flips too high, intercepted. Pass is picked off by Washington. And it's London Fletcher who missed one in the first quarter. He gets one here. Redskins were going to get it anyway, and there was pressure by the rookie Arakpo in the face of Tony Romo.
Well, yeah, and the London Fletcher finally makes the interception, and they lose field position. You know, if he knocks it down, then they because it was 4th down. But Arakpo gets the pressure on Romo, and he's just trying to make a play, and no harm on the interception, but a high ball to Miles Austin. Otherwise, they pick up the first down. But a good defensive stand there by the Washington Redskins.
But London Fletcher, 10 tackles, a forced fumble. Now he gets the interception, and a guy who's played in 187 straight games. Has not missed a game since entering the NFL 12 years ago out of John Carroll. Here's a roll to the left by Campbell, and the pass complete to Sellers. And Sellers on first down picks up 6.5 over the left side. Brady James on the tackle. Keith Brooking was out there as well for Dallas. We'll give him 7, 2nd and 3. See if the Redskins can chew on some of this clock, take the ball down the field, and get some points. Still just a 1-score game as Quinton Ganther picks up 2.
Well, you've got to believe, I mean, right now with Washington, you know, holding a 6-0 lead, that at some point Dallas is going to make a play. And when we saw the play that was made to Miles Austin, they failed to capitalize on that. But I can't imagine going through this entire game and not seeing Dallas make a big play and score a touchdown. And so Washington has an opportunity here to really turn this into a 2-possession game, and then you start looking at it and say, gosh, it's hard to, from what's happened so far, to think that Dallas can put 2 of those type of drives together, because they haven't done it here in the entire game.
Campbell sets up, throws, and completes. That's the tight end Fred Davis. A gain of 7 on 3rd down and 1.
I've been impressed with what I've seen of Jason Campbell on 3rd down today. And this was not 3rd and long, but yet he's made some good throws. Not under pressure here either, but throughout this game we've seen him under pressure. We've seen him hang in the pocket and deliver some pretty good passes. I've always liked Jason Campbell, and it would be difficult for any quarterback to come here under these circumstances this year and play well, and yet I think he's done a good job. I feel like I'm in the minority when I talk about him, but I think he's a guy who you can win games with in this league if given the right situation, and I think in time he'll have that.
And now Zorn came on the field to call timeout. There was confusion with the Redskins coming out of the huddle. First down for the Redskins. There are the numbers on the day for Jason Campbell. 20 of 30, 225 yards. Redskins did not turn it over last week. First time they had done that this season. They've not turned it over today. Campbell's in trouble, throws, and nearly intercepted as Alan Ball got his hand up. I don't know if he ever saw the football, and Jason Campbell ends up flat on his back.
He sure did. He took a good hit at the end of that play as he's trying to step up and make it's off play action, and he's going to roll a little bit to his right, and then as he steps up to make the throw, I mean, a big lick there by Brady James. It looked like Alan Ball, had he have been playing the football instead of the receiver, it looked like he might have had an easy interception.
I agree. It's second down and 10. Minnesota taking apart the Seahawks, and Green Bay beating up on the 49ers. New Orleans looks like they'll stay undefeated. On second down, Devin Thomas trying to make a move. Turned that into something, got around Spencer. Spencer got back to make the tackle in a gain of 7.
Devin Thomas made a play like that last week and was able to turn a little short gain into a pretty good run after the catch, and they try to come back with it. Didn't look like a lot was there. Anthony Spencer out there to make a play, and yet he got some positive yardage, and he's come along. And you know, they expected so much out of Malcolm Kelly, their other young wide receiver at the start of the year, but he didn't produce like they had hoped. They got Devin Thomas in the lineup, and you know, hopefully for them he can come along and start being more productive opposite Santana Moss.
Campbell on third down throws, and the pass broken up, but a flag is thrown. Jenkins on coverage with Santana Moss, and it's against Dallas.
Well, here it is. They're locked up in man coverage.
Contact, number 21, defense, 5-yard penalty, automatic first down.
I think the flag came on the initial contact by Mike Jenkins, and it looked legal to me. And I know there's a lot of frustration with defensive backs all across the league, and especially here in Dallas. We'll see if it's within 5 yards, and you know, it sure looks to be. Campbell came out of that last one. I think it was from the hit that he took that we showed from Brady James. But I didn't see the penalty. I disagree with that call.
From the 38 on first down, it's Cartwright. And Rock Cartwright right up the middle gets 6.
You know, going back to that penalty, I think there is a lot of inconsistency around the league too as to how these officials are going to call it. But what it's really taken out of the game, it's taken man coverage in essence away. I mean, you can't play tight man coverage like you used to, and that rule was put into place so that it would promote more scoring. We're certainly seeing that. I'd like to see him go a little looser on the illegal contact rules.
Second down and 4. The handoff is to Cantor.
Okay, fellas, all right.
He takes it to the 30. Meanwhile, Rock Cartwright now has a career best 135 yards from scrimmage. Doing it with backups and trying to win a division game on the road in Dallas, leading by 6. They're in field goal range and facing 3rd and 2.
I think you got to be impressed with Washington, and even last week's win against Denver. And you know, we've talked about it. Everybody's talked about it. This has been a very frustrating situation for them, and yet they've come out and they've played hard each week. Hasn't always been good, but they've played hard, and they're playing hard again today.
3rd down and 2. Handoff is to Cartwright, and he will not get the first down. In fact, went backward 2 yards, a loss of 2. Brady James was in there, Alan Ball. And it's 4th down, and Sweezum can make this a 2-score game.
And this becomes a huge field goal, and that's probably why they were running it there, hoping that they could pick up the first down. But if not, at least they don't risk taking a sack and losing much yardage. They did end up losing some. but it didn't take them out of field goal range, knowing their defense is playing so well. If they can turn this into a 2-possession game, you know, right now you've got to like Washington's chances.
50-yard field goal try by Sweezum. And Sweezum missed it. They're the numbers for Sweezum, who actually used to play with the Dallas Cowboys. Now 3 of 9 in his career, 50 or more yards. He's got a big leg, had plenty of distance, but he missed it wide to the right. 50-yard try, and that means Dallas takes over at their own 40. Good starting field position, and Creighton has it go off his left hand, incomplete, with 7:02 remaining in the game. 6-0 Redskins on top. And if you look at the pass distribution, 6 of 9 to the tight ends for Tony Romo. Only 1 completion, that to Miles Austin, to a wide receiver, and 1 for 1 to the running backs. Romo's quarterback rating in this game is 35. 2nd and 10. Underneath, Felix Jones. Rocky McIntosh on the tackle, a gain of 7.
Well, I know coming into this game, Joe, Washington, as we said, they were the #1 pass defense in the NFL, only giving up on average just over 160 yards a game. But a lot of people thought maybe it had a lot to do with who they had played this season. St. Louis, Detroit, Tampa Bay, Kansas City. I mean, some teams that just don't throw the ball very well. But they have done a heck of a job. Now, they've been outstanding on 3rd down. Dallas, for the 2nd week in a row, has not been good on this down.
Have not converted a 3rd down and greater than 1 yard here today. And Romo is going to do it himself. Bad back, bad hip and all. Dives for the 1st down to the Washington 49. And so throughout all this and the frustrating day, and what is the Cowboys' identity, Dallas is now 49 yards away from a touchdown and an extra point and a lead here this afternoon against the Redskins with under 6 to play.
I thought there were some opportunities on some other 3rd down plays that Romo could have gone and got it himself, as he did there.
Romo throws and slings it to Jason Witten. Witten is to the 41. Gain of 7.
That was such a big missed field goal there by Sweezum. Complete, not only just in not taking a 2-possession lead, but then just also giving Dallas great field position and then a shift in momentum.
2nd down and 3. Pass complete to Miles Austin. Working on D'Angelo Hall, and Austin has a 1st down for Dallas. 5 minutes left in this game.
We talked about Doug Free and how was he going to hold up. I think for the most part he's done a pretty good job. You know, he's out there, and I also think that this defensive front is starting to get a little tired for Washington. We've seen Romo with a little more time as this 2nd half has unrolled.
5 straight pass plays have been called for the Dallas Cowboys, down by 6. Now another, and the pass is complete. Tight window for Witten to the 20. Good throw, and the catch by Witten, good for 12.
Starting to work Jason Witten in the middle of the field and against zone coverage. He's very difficult then to stop. Working against linebackers, he's as good as anybody in the game in knowing where the hole is within those zones and hooking up. He and Tony Romo are best friends and have great chemistry on the field.
1st down at the 20. Romo throws for Austin. Pass complete. Austin's forward progress to the 9 with another Dallas 1st down.
Right now Dallas clearly putting Washington on their heels. And they're doing it throwing the football.
It'll be 1st and goal from the 9 after the completion to Miles Austin. Second time inside the red zone for the Dallas Cowboys, taking on the best red zone defense in the NFL. Penalty flags and a false start.
False start, number 82. Offense, 5-yard penalty, first down.
That's Jason Witten, who's surprised to hear his number called. Meanwhile, the only other time the Cowboys have been inside the red zone, they turned it over on the Marion Barber fumble in their second possession.
Here's Jason Witten right there. Just started a little bit early, but you know, Washington is also a defense that has not allowed many trips inside the red zone. Unlike Dallas, who has given up a lot of touchdowns once teams have gotten there, the Redskins lead the NFL in keeping people out of the end zone when they get inside the 20-yard line.
First and goal from the 14. Romo throws. He hits Austin. Austin takes it to the 10. Second and goal. Tryon on the stop for the Redskins.
I think that's a good play there by Justin Tryon, the second-year player, because where Miles Austin is very effective is once he gets the ball in his hands. He's got great speed, great quickness, but I think what separates him from some of the other receivers is how difficult he is to get to the ground. A couple of times now, D'Angelo Hall also made a tackle on Miles Austin in the open field.
Romo buys some time, throws for the end zone. Touchdown Dallas. Patrick Creighton. First catch of the day for Patrick Creighton, his third touchdown of the season. Patrick Creighton good for a 9-yard touchdown catch. Tony Romo missed on his first pass of that drive, then completed 7 straight. Also a key scramble for a first down on third down. And here is Devin Thomas on the return. Thomas wrestled down and a penalty flag is thrown. Patrick Watkins, who's the top special teams tackler for the Cowboys, made the grab on Devin Thomas and brought him to the turf. Check the call from Alberto Riveron.
Illegal wedge on the receiving team. 3 men lined up, half the distance of the goal, first down.
Jason Campbell's had a nice day, and if not for a couple of missed field goals, the Redskins would be up. But they're down by a point starting at their own 8. 1 timeout left. 2:35 on the clock. Campbell throws, completes to Cartwright to the 15. Back to the touchdown to Patrick Creighton.
Well, this was all established because Tony Romo was able to get outside the pocket and buy some time. And at this point here, Patrick Creighton's just staying alive. He spins back. London Fletcher trying to cover him man-to-man. But that was just between 2 guys just making something happen. Tony Romo, Mike Jenkins just went to the ground.
Here is Antoine Randall. Makes the catch, hops out of bounds. The Cowboys were trying to call timeout defensively prior to that play, but didn't get it.
I'm not sure what happened. You know, he went to line up and then he just went to the ground.
Skandrick was out there trying to call timeout. They didn't grant it, and that's why he was in on that tackle of Cartwright.
He is still on one knee. I mean, he is not in good shape. He went to the ground just now. He was on one knee and then he rolled over and laid on his back.
Talked about him injuring his biceps. Has a deep bruise his left arm. That time was in on that tackle of Cartwright and looked like his shoulder got the worst of that collision. And we go back to Romo now, his end of it on the touchdown.
Yeah, it looked to me, Joe, like he could have actually probably run it in for a touchdown himself. He had nothing but open field right here and nobody over there, but he pulled up. He pulled up and delivered a strike. Backside there then to Patrick Creighton. I tell you, the way that they scored that touchdown too was going back to what they do. And that is, for the most part, putting Romo in the gun spreading people out and playing a fast break offense. They finally did it. We hadn't seen that the entire game. They finally go to it, and Romo takes him right down the field.
There's the day for Tony Romo. 158 yards, a touchdown, and interception. Staring across at Devin Thomas. Pass is complete to Antoine Randall L. They continue to look at Mike Jenkins on the sideline. The ball is at the Washington 33. One timeout left for the Redskins. Down by one. Campbell, that ball's batted into the air and picked off by Spencer. And that will wrap up win number 7 for the Dallas Cowboys. Batted into the air by Stephen Bowen.
There's some pressure that flushes Jason Campbell out to the left. Looked like, even he could have stayed on the run and picked up yardage. The Dallas Cowboys were in man-to-man coverage. Nobody then accounting for the quarterback, but that's not what happened. He tries to make the throw, and as you said, batted up by Bowen into the middle of the field, and an interception. And because of only one timeout, the Cowboys will be able to run out the clock.
So it was a struggle all day long for Dallas. Last time they had it, took over at their 40, went down the field and scored. Now Marion Barber carries it. He's fumbled in this game, but he hangs on, and Washington uses its final timeout. If you look ahead for the Dallas Cowboys, they have a Thursday Thanksgiving game against Oakland. The Raiders at the start of play today are 2-7. Then they're at the Giants with that layoff after the Thanksgiving Day game. And then they've got San Diego at home, at New Orleans, at Washington.
This was the big game here, and turning around. I mean, the Cowboys playing at home on Thanksgiving is a big advantage, not just for the Cowboys, but for the Detroit Lions, even though they're not as good a team. And then, of course, the final game being at Denver. But with Dallas winning this game today and then playing at home against Oakland, the Green Bay loss then becomes a distant memory as they head into December in what is a pretty difficult schedule.
They hand it off. Marion Barber is stood up at the 35. Redskins cannot stop the clock again. We look at the NFC East. If you give the Cowboys this victory, they're at 7-3. The Eagles, again, they play tonight. Meanwhile, the Giants just had their game tied. The Atlanta Falcons went down the field and with under 30 seconds left tied the game. And so the Giants could be headed to overtime at home against Atlanta, and they could be 5-5 at the end of the day.
Well, I think you got to say again, a good job by Washington. I mean, they came in here and played well, and they played well enough to win and probably should have won. And if Schweizum is able to make that field goal to make it a 2-possession game, there's no doubt that they do go on and win this game. But give Dallas credit, as I said. I mean, it's just hard to continually hold them down. That defense for Washington did about as good as they could do, and it just wasn't quite enough for a victory.
It's 4th down now. There'll be a little time left over at the end. 14 seconds left. Dallas spends their first time out. And we'll see how the Cowboys want to play it with 14 seconds remaining.
I would think they'd just try to pooch punt it. I think you'd take more time off the clock that way as opposed to running the football and seeing if you can get a first down.
It's not worth the risk. You're giving too short of a field up by only one. Here are the two misses by Schweizum, and definitely the difference in this game. Schweizum missing his last one from 50, the previous one from 39 yards at the end of the first half. And so now the pooch punt by McBriar. Hangs it high. And the fair catch back inside the 15-yard line. 7 seconds left. No timeouts. D'Angelo Hall pulls it in, and this will be another frustrating loss for the Washington Redskins. And Troy, I know coming in, you knew of all the pressure on Jason Garrett to go back to the ground game, go back to the running game. They established it. They moved the ball from time to time, the Cowboys didn't put up any points, and it wasn't until they had to go back to the air that they looked like themselves and getting the ball down the field and into the end zone for what should be the decisive touchdown.
Well, it just seems like there's a vocal group out there that whenever a team loses, they immediately look and see how many times the team ran the ball, and if they didn't run it enough, then that's the reason they lost the game. And that's not what Dallas has been about. That's not why they've won, and that's not why they scored the touchdown to win this game today.
Jump ball, it is incomplete. This game is over, and the Cowboys are 7-3. Redskins are 3-7. They fought hard and for most of the game looked like the better team here this afternoon. But in the end, it's Dallas by 1 point, 7-6.